Welcome in to Studio C here for the Rip City TV network for episode 7 of the Rip City wrap-up. My friends, join us. 137-114. The Blazers lose at home to the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're now 2-4 on the year. Before we get into them, we always got to welcome in my brother Joe Simons. Dan Meringue, you know how he does his thing.
Diva, he'll be here.
He'll be here.
He's hanging with Mariah, posting videos about Christmas right now, but he'll be here shortly.
He's having fun doing it. He was at the Motor Center for this game, so he was with you guys fans, talking to him, having a good time out there. Joe, first of all, how was your Friday?
Great day.
Great day.
Thorns, congrats. Christine Sinclair getting that goal.
There we go.
They're in the Yoffs.
Gotta clap it up for her, Sinclair.
Way to go.
I know. They're going to the postseason.
Congrats.
Again.
Some positive sports news
10
in
years.
Portland.
10 years, and out of 11 years, they've made the playoffs 10 times out of 11 years. That's a big congrats
Incredible.
to the Portland
Well
Thorns.
done.
For sure. Congrats to them. But we got to talk about this game.
We
Portland
do.
Trail Blazers fall to the Oklahoma City Thunder 137-114. The same team, actually, that they fell to last year by a decent amount.
One or two? A couple?
A couple.
They're really good. They're really good at basketball.
They are really good at basketball. They fell to them last year, historically marking one of the worst losses in just NBA history. But that was not the case tonight, especially if you watch the first half.
And especially in the second quarter. It was really encouraging, even though the Blazers got off to a slow start.
Yeah.
And right out of the gate, that's happened 5 games in a row now. Throw out the Warriors game. Otherwise, the Blazers have been down like right away and have found a way to come back in it and be competitive. And that's what happened tonight. And then they were down by as many as 17 in that first half. And actually took a 3-point lead before last second buzzer beater, tied it. But I think before we get to how things turned in the second half, it's important to recognize the good that we saw in the first half.
There's a lot of good.
There was a lot of good, and it was really encouraging to see that this team, and they've done it. I know we have a small sample size so far, but they've really done it consistently throughout these first 6 games. Maybe Golden State you can throw it, but the last 5 certainly. When it felt like the game was slipping away early, they withstood the charge. Tumani hit a couple of threes early to kind of get back in it. And then he hit a third in the second quarter as well. Roops, you heard Coach Billups talk about it, was awesome.
Everyone
off the bench
was talking
tonight.
about Rupert tonight.
Deni was really good in the second quarter. We'll get to Deni a little bit more in depth later on in the show, but you kind of go up and down the lineup. Even though Ant didn't have a good shooting night, you had a lot of production. Chris Murray had some good minutes from those role players that were looking to, sort of define their place on the team. And it's exciting to see that they're taking steps in the right direction. Maybe not over 48 minutes, maybe not for the entirety of the game, but we saw it in a long enough stretch where I think Blazer fans can look at the scoreboard and say, all right, 137-114, but there's still encouraging signs.
That's still, if we're going to be quite frank here, that's probably the best team in the Western Conference as well.
Yeah, I think it is.
And I think for them to compete with them in the first half like they did, they were flying to the wall any way that you can. They talk a lot about Deni and how he just kind of plays a different style of basketball. But when he was doing that, Blazers, they were looking hot. And if you look at the overall first half as just like an overall perspective, grading the first half, to me, I thought that was a B+ A- type of first half, just because of how they were able to get Rupert on board. He was able to hit some threes. Tumani was able to hit some threes. And people won't know this, but Rupert is the reason that Blazers team even got some momentum to get back into that game. When he hit those 2 threes, you heard the crowd too. They were like, wait a minute, hold on. We're getting close. It was about, I think, 11-point gap at that point, and then we started hitting more threes, started shrinking until we were tied. And I'm like, this is a Blazers game that the outcome could be either or.
It's a very you folks are a very knowledgeable fan base. This team knows what this season is going into the season, right? This team's not going to win a lot of basketball games. The bar for Blazer fans right now is just caring and showing effort and showing hustle and doing things the right way. And we saw that in the second quarter. And I think if this is the sort of game that snowballs in the first half and that lead that was 17 in the second quarter maybe stretches out to 25 and you have that big margin at the break, then maybe you're coasting as you get into the third and fourth quarter. And it's like, all right, we're not seeing those important minutes. We're not seeing that development in places that we want to see it. But for Portland to be able to get back into that game and make it exciting in the first half for the fans, you talked about Deni. When things are going well, it snowballs in a positive direction.
For sure.
People feed off it on the court. They feed about it. They feed on it in the arena, and it also is contagious to the court, right?
Yeah,
Deni
for sure.
is a spark plug, and when things are going well, they can continue to go well.
Yep.
But when things are not going well, and maybe we can spin this ahead to the third quarter, it kind of snowballs in that direction too. And there was a play specifically where he tried to throw a lob to DA. I think Calabro said it was somewhere between a floater and a lob, and it hit the backboard, and you could tell he was frustrated with himself, and he was a little late getting back on transition. By the time he caught up to the play, he was sort of behind it. The ball was already right underneath the basket, fouls the player, makes the basket. It's an and one, and it's compounding mistakes. That's exactly the thing you don't want to see. Yes, get back, play aggressive transition defense, but if you're behind the play, you're just compounding the mistake at that point. And that's where I think some of Deni's slow upon itself, right?
Yeah.
Because you see the good of it in the second. With OKC and specifically Lou Dort, that lunatic, putting everybody in the torture chamber, got 4 steals in the game. It just started to turn really quickly, and the Blazers just really had no answer.
I know, and we also want you guys to continue to join our conversation using the hashtag RCWrapUp. We actually have somebody right now talking about the same thing we're talking about, Deni. Ben Cost is saying Deni seems to be really forcing a lot early on this season. Thoughts on this? Listen, I'll get my quick thoughts on. I see why you say that. The forcing can be seen just because of the amount of turnovers that you're probably seeing from him in the first half, but I won't say he's forcing it. I say he's kind of trying to figure out his way. And also, we got our big guy over here, Deni Moraine.
Is that Deni Moraine's music?
My
God. My God.
Making the tread all the way from Moda. And you look good with the collar today.
Oh, there we go.
What?
He's here.
All right. Perfect timing, because I knew I was going to be running out of there, and I was like, let me grab Deni, because the team's heading for the road right now. Like, they're turning and burning, going down to Phoenix.
The land of the rising sun.
Yeah, it's going to be quick. And I was like, hey, let me grab Deni real quick, because honestly, it's kind of tough to grab him as they've gotten out of town twice now in a hurry. And I was like, hey, man, kind of how you feeling? What's going on? And what's kind of going for you right now, or what's not going for you right now? And he said the big thing for him was he's really concentrating on just staying aggressive, putting his head down, getting to the rim, being aggressive. Like he knows, like, I'm not worried.
That's what he knows.
Yeah,
That's what he is.
He goes, look, I'm not worried about my shooting. It's going to come around. It's going to be fine. He's very calm and confident about it. Like, again, I think tonight he was pretty good, but like you can see where if a couple shots go his way, an okay night turns into, hey, that's a really good night. Like they coming tonight, they'd only run Deni and Tumani in a 2-man pick and roll game twice, 2 different actions. That's it. And
the whole season.
Yes, and more often than not, it's been with DeAndre Ayton. And tonight they did it, and Deni rejects a screen, goes the other way, gets downhill, and the defense is kind of scrambling because they're not really used to guarding that action. It's a little bit different. It's a little wing screen. And that was the play where Deni gets downhill, and he throws a lob to DA, and the lob just wasn't good.
Yeah.
But the action, the decision-making, everything was right. The execution was poor. And I think that's it's a little bit of a skill issue where I think Deni's gotten a little crazy with some lobs, but also I think it was more of a timing thing. He might have hitched it a little bit. He might have hesitated just a little bit just because they aren't quite on the same page yet. By the end of the season, I think Deni's going to be a guy where you're going to find him making a lob connection probably once a game. Like I think he's going to do it with Donovan. I think he'll get there with Da. Hell, he might get there with Tumani because Tumani's a guy who, when he gets a nice little runway, he can get up and put it down too.
That play specifically, though, that to me, and I don't know if you heard, it's sort of the flip side of Deni, right? Like, that's where the aggressiveness, I think, comes back to bite him. I'm not suggesting that he changes style of play. It's why he's in Portland for that aggressive style of play. But when he makes the bad decision, not the bad decision, when the execution is poor on the toss to DA, then he comes down, he commits a foul that he probably shouldn't, and it turns into a 3-point play, and you get a 5-point swing. And there were just a lot of live ball turnovers in the third quarter, leading to a lot of easy OKC points. And the Blazers could not figure out that small lineup for Oklahoma City in the third quarter. It was a problem.
Chet Holmgren getting in foul trouble was the biggest benefit for.
It changed the whole momentum.
Chet was not good tonight. Chet was objectively bad. He had no redemptive qualities about him tonight. I was actually really interested to see how he looked. He's been incredible for the Thunder this season. And I came into this game, the point spread was 11.5 points, and I went, that seems a little tight. This Thunder team's been pretty good. I'm like, if they start hitting threes and then that barrage of threes, and Portland matched them in the first half. They both get 11, and it's like you're sitting there thinking, okay, this is it.
Portland shot 50% from three in the first half.
They were incredible.
Yeah,
and I mean, OKC was right there, and then Portland just punched back in big part to Ryan Repair getting a career high, knocks down 4.
Great game for Reeves.
They tried to put him on the podium. He wasn't having it. He was like, "I'll do my interview here in the locker room."
Oh man, what?
We'll get you, Roops. We'll get you.
It's only
20. No, he's like, I'm good. But that third quarter, the first half, they were. I think they only had 5 turnovers in the first half.
4.
4.
Yeah.
They were incredibly clean. They didn't foul. I looked up at one point in time. The Trailblazers had 5 fouls. The Thunder had 15. I'm sitting there going, they've been disruptive. They've taken care of the ball. They've blocked shots. They've gotten little dig downs, and they've gotten deflections, and they've competed. And this is about as good as you can ask for. And I saw a lot of people like, why didn't Chauncey Billups change something? Why didn't they do something? Well, the counter to the Oklahoma City Thunder is, okay, you go small. They're better at being small.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, do you want to play into that hand, or do you want to play into the fact that you have the biggest lineup in the NBA? Like that's an actual thing.
And
the Thunder or the Blazers are the biggest team in the league.
They are. And I wanted to actually ask you, since you were there and we were watching it back here, what was that just energy like from the crowd when the Blazers started hitting those threes, when it was starting to look like this is not a game where they're getting blown out like last year. This is a game where they were competing.
No, there was genuinely like that final 5 minutes of the third quarter, they were getting after it, and the crowd. I mean, they were following. Like it's an entertaining brand of basketball. You get out, and Deni does get the steal and the punch. Roops is knocking down threes. Tumani's being a complete lunatic. I thought everybody really contributed. I thought Anthony Simons' floor game in the second quarter was incredibly good. He wasn't forcing anything. He had 4 or 5 passes that he just sprayed out to guys for wide open threes. 2 hit one. Roops hit one. I think 1 skipped a scoot that ended up in the corner where Roops hit another one. And you're just like, this is like the ideal. And they were competing with probably the second best team in the West.
Yeah.
Raining threes. Raining threes.
I see what he did.
I heard the second. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the second best team in the West. Second best team in the league.
Oh, okay. I thought you were sliding Dallas above
I mean, you
OKC.
can make an argument for him, but no. I think the OKC right now is probably the second best team in the league.
The depth is
they just keep
incredible.
So Mark Dagnall, the head coach for the Thunder.
I was like, Caruso, this doesn't seem fair that Alex Caruso's on this team.
I watched him warm up, and I went, oh my God, that's right.
Yeah.
And remember, they don't have Isaiah Hartenstein.
Right.
Like it's so.
Who's going to be a huge piece for them.
Right.
For that second unit, it's like
it's nuts. I mean, he could end up as starting.
Yeah.
Like you just don't know which way. They have so many options, and part of the reason made that run is, yes, they played well, but also Dagnall in the second quarter went away from what they have done in the previous 4 games, and they brought their rookie, A.J. Mitchell, off the bench as the first guy off the bench. And then they brought in Case and Wallace, and then they brought in Andrew Wiggins, or the other Wiggins, not Andrew Wiggins, Aaron Wiggins. And I'm just sitting there going, how many of these guys do they – they're 12 deep of dudes, and you're just sitting like – what is this?
Over a 7-game series, I think it's going to be really tough.
It's nightmare. It's nightmare fuel.
It's going to be really tough.
They can play so many different ways.
And I know that we can look. Well, let me put it this way: it's fun to look at the Thunder and think, "Hey, wait a minute. Maybe if things fall a certain way, this is like the A+ best possible case scenario. and then you do really well in free agency also. It's not just the getting someone like Shea, stockpiling the draft picks, hitting on a bunch of them, but then you become an attractive enough destination where free agents want to sign with you, and you become a 12-deep team. This is like the best case scenario for the modern NBA. They point to the OKC Thunder and say it's like that.
And every single one of their players, they were hitting threes.
And
Raining threes, literally.
It's not fair when that happens.
Well, and tonight for Portland, you did have a fair amount of guys like up and down the roster hitting threes, and I think that's something you just kind of go. That happened against the Clippers. They tied a franchise record. They had 9 different players make threes that night, and so I think you're gonna need that on most nights. But I really like the way they played tonight for the most part. It's just that when that small ball lineup came out, it was incredibly disruptive. Portland Chauncey Billups opted to stay bigger. And Chauncey in the postgame said, hey, we probably got caught trying to force that action a little too much. And that's kind of what played into some of the disruptive stuff. But their options to go small were really taken away when Ant fell. And for what it's worth, talk to him real quick. He says he's fine.
He's good, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought he broke his wrist, I'll be honest, when he fell. The way he fell with his hand underneath him, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. For him to be okay and to not head to the locker room and not need all the scans and x-rays and everything else, great.
Good signs.
Who knows if he goes tomorrow? But as of right now, he says he's okay.
Okay. And I think overall, just if you could basically describe in your ways when you were looking at this team towards the fourth quarter, what would you say? Would you say that they were they still felt like this was a game that was possible? What was your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean, maybe if you start the fourth quarter with like an 8-0 run, then maybe you feel like you have a puncher's chance. Yeah. I mean, everyone likes to complain, not everybody, but a lot of people complain about the state of the NBA and how many threes, but the consequence of that is no lead is safe.
None.
I watched the Suns come back on the Clippers, and they started the third quarter yesterday with 15 consecutive made field goals. So if you can put together an insane run to start a quarter, then you're back into it. But I think because of the way Portland got back into the game, scoring 44 in the second, the way the third unfolded, it wasn't just that OKC was like knocking down a bunch of shots. It was sort of a demoralizing way to end that quarter, especially with Lou Dort just ripping the ball away from everybody at will. And it felt like a pretty tough hill to climb. And the white flag was waved at that point. And
with
look,
the back-to-back, that's
exactly.
That's the thing.
It's not like you're questioning that decision. I think it makes a lot of sense. It's a long season. You're playing tomorrow. There's a lot more games in a short period of time over the next few weeks. But no, I think after the third quarter happened, it felt like a wrap.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. And beyond that third quarter was pretty demoralizing, I think, for the team in the sense of the stat that comes out of that is, I believe Portland from the 8-minute mark on had 11 shots and 12 turnovers, and OKC had 26 shots. If I'm trying to remember right. I hate boiling it down to this because I do it so often. It's a math problem.
Yeah,
you can't overcome that. And that's the thing is in today's NBA with so many possessions, getting up and down the floor, and so many threes and free throw opportunities and fast break opportunities, and it's not something you can overcome. And that's if you're a good to great team. If you're a young team still trying to figure stuff out, I mean, sometimes you can play with house money and you can get dumb hot and you have a guy.
If Ant goes for 40 or whatever.
I mean,
sure.
we've seen Ant have multiple 20-point quarters in his career where you just go, okay, everything's out the window. Let's see what happens.
But to have the high of the end of the second quarter and the low for how the third quarter win,
it was a real high.
They had to be flying going into the locker room thinking like, oh my God, we are going toe-to-toe with the best team in the Western Conference right now. We are knocking down shots. We are playing great defense. Everything's cohesive. Let's go. And the first couple minutes of the third, they hung around, and then it just quickly turned, and that was it.
Yeah, and I also want to address something before we get to your amazing voice and your awesome reads. That challenge early in the first.
Okay.
I actually like it because it was 2-second foul.
Right. Listen. There was a challenge early in the third that the Blazers failed, and it was against Tumani because he was going to get his second foul already early on in this game. But I know a lot of fans were questioning, just kind of worried about that. I like the challenge. I see why fans don't like it. But I think either way, you needed to in that game to not have those type of fouls.
Yeah, and I don't know what is a challenge and what's acceptable anymore. I don't, because tonight, for the second time this season, a Trailblazers player was raked across the arm after the ball was tipped in their hands and they were thrown to the ground and foul was not found on them.
Yeah. I mean,
So I don't like.
Right.
The incidental contact has become a default for. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna do whatever I want here, and I don't think it's like a necessarily. It's not a. Oh, the ref screwed the Blazers.
No.
This is something I've seen across the NBA over the first couple weeks. Here is that refs are going. You know what? That's kind of soft. I'm just gonna say incidental contact, even though when they called it, they had technically the right call. The first 4 games of the season across the NBA. Fouls were up over 21% from last year and 21% from the beginning of the season before they dialed things back. So that lets you know just how high up it was. I think what did we end with tonight? It was 13 and 19 or 17. So, that's probably still a little too high for what they. Or actually, no, that's probably about where they want to be. Is about 30 in total. But at one point in time, again, it was 5 to 15.
Yeah.
Weird how that number started to even out in the second half.
I just think with this challenge specifically, yes, you want to save your challenges for a late game situation where you really, really need it. But guess what? You're playing the best team in the Western Conference. So if you don't keep Toumani Camara in the game, who was your only offense at that point, you're not going to have a need for a challenge late in the game. So I think it was appropriate, even though it was probably not going to go your way. Live, it didn't look like a foul. On the replay, it was pretty obvious. He grabbed him, and Lamar called it out and be like, yeah, okay, he got him. Yeah.
And when you have to make the snap judgment, you've got guys behind the bench. Everybody wants to say, it's Chauncey, it's Chauncey. It's like, there's guys behind the bench.
A
that
coterie
like,
of people.
Yes, they're watching a quick monitor, and Blazers broadcasting, team broadcasting, it's always going to try to throw the home one up as quick as they can because they know, hey,
of course,
we got to see this. But if you don't get the right angle in time, and you've already hit that button,
precisely,
it is what it is. Again, I was shocked that Chet's going like this, and it's like, I don't know why
they're doing this after every play.
Alex Caruso did it on. Alex Caruso did it on 4 straight calls, and I was like, okay, dude.
I actually like
He's
this.
having fun with it.
I like this way better than this move from wide receivers. I can't stand that when they want a flag thrown. There's a little bit of dignity in this.
Do you like the defense doing the seatbelt? No?
Really? The flag, it's for a reason. They're not doing this in football. Well, talk to us about football. Don't we got something coming up?
2 college football teams in the top 10 hoping to keep their playoff hopes alive on K2 this weekend. At 9 a.m., the Miami Hurricanes kick off against the Duke Blue Devils. The midday matinee will see the Bulldogs of Georgia take on Florida. And at 4:30, Texas A&M taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Don't miss the action Saturday on K2. We will get back to talking about the game in a second. But first, a deep dive into a shallow topic. It's time for Trend BA, logo pending. This happened in Dallas yesterday. There was a very, very silly halftime contest. Maybe it was just in between quarter.
Yeah.
But there was, if they could roll the video. Yeah, so you can see it there. So the ripped dude in the Doncic jersey has to make a free throw. Behind him is Michael Myers. So he puts up the free throw there. He's like, all right, maybe I'm cool. Oh, my God, a serial killer is coming to attack me. I'm probably good. No, I'm not.
That is fun stuff. Why can't more NBA teams do something like that around the holidays? Like, maybe get like Santa Claus.
Is Santa out there on Christmas?
Yeah. He's about to give you coal if you don't make this next shot or something. That's
just
fun
runs you
stuff.
over with some reindeer.
Oh, well, now that's not so
Is
jolly, is
that
it?
a little too dark? My bad.
A big turkey?
Really? That is not jolly at all. But still, there's some stuff like that.
I thought it was fun. I love Halloween bits. I love that the serial killer was there. If you noticed, he did pick up his pace a little bit so he could swat him. But I just love how the dude got really, really scared when he was like, oh, my God, well, I don't know. It's not Michael Myers. It's a guy in a mask. Very scary, but I enjoy hijinks. I enjoy the hijinks. Shout out to Blazer Todd.
It's great fun.
The best in the business.
The best in the
Look,
business.
real quick, you will, if you watch NBA League Pass, you will understand that Blazer Todd is the GOAT of the game ops. And it's not particularly close.
At a Pickles game, Blazer Todd was there for a Blazer night, and I'm so disappointed I didn't record this. He showed me the perfect way to fold a T-shirt so you can stick it in a T-shirt cannon. And he did it like, you know those pizza restaurant workers that
the boxes?
They fold boxes really quickly.
Yeah.
That was Blazer Todd with a T-shirt, and he stuffed it in the cannon and is ready to go in like 10 seconds.
You think about how many
Amazing.
times he's done
exactly,
that.
the reps.
He's done, I think he's had this job for 27 years.
Not
That's
well,
awesome.
10,000 hours.
Yeah, so I mean,
100,000 hours probably.
Yeah, he's folded
that
a
point.
lot of T-shirts.
Yeah.
But how many times are you actually going to use that skill?
I mean,
For Todd?
if you're
No,
blazing
not for
along,
Todd. Not for Todd. I'm talking about for you and anybody else watching. How often are you gonna fold a T-shirt and stuff it into a can?
not now because I didn't record him.
Yeah, no, and I don't. I've never done the canon part. I worked at Abercrombie when I was in high school, so I folded like thousands of T-shirts. But
All right, fair enough. Well,
as far as I go.
Well, you know what? Actually, we just got another fan tag on our. Let's bring this up. This is coming from Beerman. What do you think Chauncey is going to do with the starting lineup when Shaden comes back? With Tumani's play through these first 6 games, do you think he continues to start?
It's
That's
a
a great
really
question.
interesting question. First of all, I continue to hear that Shaden is on pace and maybe even
Gobble.
maybe even sooner. So the same is true with Rob Williams. I would expect him. We probably see him in the next week.
So you think while they're on
That's
the road,
exciting.
or when we come back?
I think there's a chance. Not on the back-to-back. I don't think he plays
Yeah.
tomorrow. I think New Orleans is the first real opportunity for Rob to get out there.
That'd be fun.
If Shaden clears some hurdles here in the next couple weeks, you could see him pretty darn quick, I believe. So he is not going to touch that floor unless he's at 100%. The Blazers can't risk it. The Shaden Sharp can't risk it. If he re-injures himself, he basically won't play basketball for 18 months.
I'd be surprised if he started day one.
Here's the thing. We don't necessarily know who was winning that starting job coming out of camp because Shaden got hurt so early in camp. All I heard from other players and coaches is Tumani is a bleepity bleep in the most praising manner. It was
And they need bleepity bleeps.
They love them
crazy something, you
Look,
know.
they love themselves a good bleepity bleep, and you are seeing his impact. I mean, he hasn't performed poorly this season. Even though he's not dropping 25 a night, his defensive impact, his intensity, his aggressiveness, his energy, they're all on a level above.
You can just look at his stat sheet tonight. In 24 minutes, 13 points, 3 of 5 from 3, 3 boards, 2 assists, 2 dimes. I mean,
And 2 steals.
And 2 steals, excuse me.
No,
yeah.
you 2 dimes too.
He's everywhere.
He's all over the box score, and when you pair him with a guy like Deni, who takes Denny's kind of the playmaking version of Tumani, where he can put the ball down and create. And I think they have this ability to cycle in and cycle out offensively and defensively in different levels. And I think Deni working above the break and working as a playmaker with 2 in the short corner offensively, and then defensively, you put either one of them in a pick and roll in a like for like, they're just going to switch. And it's like, well, do you want to get shot by one or the other? It's not really a winning proposition for you. I thought 2 was tremendous on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander tonight. At one point in time, I believe Shai was 11 of 12 from 2. And he's stepping through, around, over.
Nothing was easy.
I mean, nothing was easy. He was 1 of 6 from 3 at one point in time. I'm just there. How is he 11 of 2 with 11 of 12 with 2 draped all over him? I mean, he was making him work, and that is why SGA is an MVP candidate, because he was incredible.
I know we want to get Shai on the floor when he's 100%. But I just think Tumani has such an incredible flow going to the start of this season.
mess it up.
Because there was a conversation even with Shai hurt, is 2 going to be in the starting lineup? And then he had such an incredible preseason, there was really no choice at that point. And he's been so efficient on both sides of the ball through the first 6 games. You couple that with giving Scoot a little bit of help with the second unit if Shaden is a part of that. I think it's just logical to bring Shaden off the bench when he first comes back, and then let's see what happens, because the season is long.
There's an old adage, right? You don't lose your starting spot to injury. But the question is, was Shaden the starter when he went down? He's the presumptive starter because he's the former number 7 overall pick, and there's definitely interest in him within the organization to see if he spreads his wings. Is he the guy or a guy?
Do you really think that if Shaden had been healthy the entire offseason, 2 would have been in the starting lineup night 1 over Shaden Sharp? I find that very hard to believe.
Well, I do if Tumani was playing like this in camp, and let's say Shaden wasn't. And now,
if Shai had kind of a iffy camp and maybe things aren't looking crisp, maybe we want to get him more comfortable.
I reported this multiple times throughout the summer and then leading into camp. Everything that I heard was that, much like Tumani, Shaden had found that switch of the, no, I get what it means to work as an NBA player in the offseason. And some guys find it, some guys don't, or they find it a couple years later. And I heard from his the stuff that he did in the offseason, he was impressive in some local runs and stuff like that. So, you always take that stuff with a grain of salt because everybody looks great in the offseason.
Right.
But
Everyone
when you
put on 20 pounds of muscle.
Yeah. But when you also hear from other players on other teams and they give you the same feedback, like, no, he's figuring it out. That's when you kind of go, okay.
The unbiased opinions are also confirming what the internal spin might be.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I started getting that, I was like, all right, let's see what Shaden kind of has to offer. And then he gets the shoulder, and that kind of made it worse.
What would you do, Tyree?
I mean, everyone was talking about Tumani. I mean, I remember when and I mentioned this on episode 1 of the Rip City Wrap Up. Make sure to continue to use the hashtag RC Wrap Up to join the conversation. But I remember Lamar Hurd said in the beginning when we announced that the Blazers were back on local television, Tumani is this bright spot of this team right now going into the offseason. Yeah, you already know you're looking at Scoot Henderson year 2, and what is Shaden Sharp going to do coming back from the abdominal injury. But 2 was the name that was coming out of a lot of people that represent the Blazers organization. And I think to take him off, because, he was, 13, 3, and 2 tonight. He also had 2 steals. He may not give you 10 points, but he may give you 6 points and 6 assists, maybe get 4 steals or so. And if he's on the court, his positivity differs. Where he's going to be offense tonight, whether it's going to be defense the other night.
He's going to bring impact.
He's going to bring an impact that this Blazer team needs, especially when you're looking at Tumani, who's going to be part of this future roster, competing for championship, competing to go into the playoffs. He should stay in this starting lineup. I do believe so.
Joe, let's go back 10 years. That's who 2 reminds me of.
Yeah.
It's Wes Matthews.
I think it's a very fair comparison. I don't think it's too early for that.
He's a 6'7" Wes Matthews. He's a complete, just, nails to the wall defender. He's in people's jerseys. He's talking some junk.
Knock down that open 3.
I don't know if you saw him and Dort a couple times.
Yeah.
Throwing shoulders
and I love that.
He wants to mix it up. Not dirty, but he wants to get chippy.
If he's Dort-ish,
you want that.
That is really exciting for this team.
And the thing that I've noticed, and it's such a unique thing with Wes in his career. He is the only non-superstar player I've ever seen who every year came back with something new. He couldn't shoot threes in his first year.
A new weapon in his arsenal. Yeah.
Just something new every single year. He worked with Jeff Hornacek when he was in Utah, just begged him to help him break down his shot. And all of a sudden he started knocking down threes later in the season. He's on the closing lineup. He gets to Portland. All he is really a 3-and-D guy. And then the next season, he's posting guys up, and he posts James Harden into oblivion in the playoffs. Then he starts being able to close out or attack closeouts and create off the bounce. And you're just like, how did a role player go from a defensive-minded role player who maybe he can figure something out to stay on the floor to this incredibly well-rounded, very, very, very important piece of a team and that 2014-15 team that before his Achilles goes, they're a team that you go, that's a Western Conference Finals team. That's a dark horse. Remember, this is before the Warriors have gone full Warriors, and you're looking at that Dame, West, Nick, LaMarcus.
There was a bit of an opening at that point,
and you go, that's a team that's going to give any team fits.
And this has happened really quickly with 2. We were talking going into the season, wouldn't it be nice if he could give us something offensively? Yeah. And now he knocks down a couple threes to start a game, and you're like, okay, yeah, sure.
That's what we wanted.
That's when they really need it.
That's what we expect. Oh, exactly. And Danny, I mentioned this at the top, but if you look at their last 5 games, they're down. Their starts. They were down 12-4, down 10-3, 15-4, 10-4, and 9-2 tonight against OKC. Ironically, the one time they had a fast start was against Golden State, where they gave up 140 points. But getting over those first couple of minutes is something they have to fix and fix quickly. I know that it's a game of runs and it's basketball, yada, yada. But it is important for the Blazers to get off to these quick starts because, as you see in the third quarter,
Margin Freres,
it's very, very slim because, like we've said it times, there's a talent deficit, especially when you see a game like tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. When they outworked the Thunder and shots were falling down, they were able to get back in the game. And when that flipped, it snowballed incredibly quickly, and the game was over in the third quarter.
On that note, I don't know if you guys noticed this. I was kind of tweeting it out during the first part of the game. I thought the Blazers actually came out with a big-time game plan. They knew kind of what the cross matches were going to be, and you saw we're not going to put Shea on Ant. We're going to put Dort on Ant, and then we're going to cross match Isaiah Joe because Tumani Kamara is not somebody who can really put the ball down and create. And the very first play, they run a little back screen for Tumani on a duck in, and Isaiah Joe's like, this guy's 3 inches taller and 25 pounds heavier. I'm going to foul him. Otherwise, off down 9-2. They played a little game called Where's Isaiah Joe? And that's what their offense was. And they're like, we don't want to attack Dort because Lou Dort's a lunatic, and he's a massive human being, and he looks like Ray Lewis in basketball shoes. I walked out behind him in the tunnel tonight, literally directly in front of me, and I felt small.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going,
he's a tank, dude.
oh, the only other guy in the NBA who's built like him is Zion, and that's different. Zion's kind of like a rounder. Dort is quite literally built like Ray Lewis. Like, it's just overwhelming physicality.
One of the greatest defensive players ever.
Just terrifying. And it's like you throw him on a basketball court and go, just don't quite tackle people. You get like, he's so physical.
Right on the edge.
He gets away with so much because he's so physical, and he's earned that reputation. But they don't attack Dort. Chet is, this great weak side shot blocker. SGA is a great, defensive disruptor, led the NBA in steals last year. And Jalen Williams is a plus defender. So you're like, what are we going to do? We're going to attack Isaiah Joe. In the first 4 possessions, they're picking on him. They're getting him in pick and rolls. And the problem was they go down 9-2 because the Thunder hit just tremendous shot after tremendous shot after tremendous shot. 2 coming down and being ready and not passing up the threes.
Yes.
That was the huge part of this tonight. Is against the Clippers, there was a couple times where little record scratch, and him and Chris and Deni, they can't do that. Scoot tonight had one where he record scratched really hard and then moved it to Roops. Ended up knocking it down.
I noticed that one too.
But it was like,
that's going to show up as an assist. But that's a shot he needs to take.
He caught it in rhythm.
It ultimately worked out because Roops had a good night. But that is a shot that Scoot needs to take.
And that's just a kind of a trend that's going to pop up with this team, is like, how confident are they going to be with their three-point shooting?
15 threes tonight for this team, shooting 35 of them. Let's talk a little bit about these threes, okay? There are 3 teams that have taken more threes than 2s this year. The Boston Celtics, the Orlando Magic, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have taken more threes than 2s. Historic numbers.
Good teams.
137, 114. These were raining threes. That's what it was like at Moda Center tonight. How important is it for this team to get their three-point shots up early in the game, like we saw what Roops was doing, like we saw what Tumani is doing? I'll answer first. I think if they were able to compete with these NBA teams that have found a way to shoot beyond the arc and score at least 100 points each game, I don't care who you have out on that court, you're going to get a good showing from the players that you have available, which was the problem that this team had last year, having players available.
Honestly, if you took a look at the box score tonight, I don't think there's anything about this I would necessarily change. You want them to maybe be a little bit better at the free throw line, but if you told me that this Blazers team shot 47% from the field and shot 42%, 43% from 3, to me, there's 2 magic numbers I think that are going to be consistent for this team this year, or need to be consistent for this team this year. Number 1, get 14 makes. If you get 14 makes, you're going to win, I think, or at least be in the game. The minimum, I think, threshold for attempts is 35. And tonight they went 15 of 35 and they got smoked because that's how good that OKC team is. And
they cooled off a little bit in the second half, right? When things were going well, they didn't have as good of looks as they had in the first half. So it sort of was a double-edged sword. Rebounding was also a problem tonight.
Well, hold on. Let me say that. They didn't always have good looks. OKC didn't always have good looks.
No, they hit some incredible shots.
They just hit some incredible shots, too.
Yeah.
They didn't always have a good look shooting. Early in the first quarter, they were just bomb. Like,
there was one that I think it was Jalen Williams, I think, stepped into, where 2 had his hand in his mouth. Like it was. I don't know how you shoot like that and knock down a 3, and he cashed it out. And you just go. You brought up a good point about the rebounding. I asked Chauncey Billups in the postgame, why are you guys so good on the offensive glass but inconsistent on defensive glass? And he said, look, I don't know if this is a thing for this team necessarily, but I know that when I was playing, this is something I inherently believed. And that is, when you're going for an offensive rebound, you're a little more motivated because when you have the ball, you get to do a little something with it. You can go up and score. Now, he's not saying that necessarily that all of his guys are selfish and that they're motivated by the offensive glass, but maybe there's an addition.
That's
some
probably
additional
just
juice.
like
I see
an
what you
axiom in the NBA,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
You're going to be more motivated on offensive rebound. I mean, how often do you see this happens in college more than the NBA? But how often do you see a guy shoot a three, knows he misses immediately, panics,
Boom.
and runs to the rim so he can try to grab it and continue the possession because he doesn't want to be the one who screwed things up?
No, remember the old adage of follow your miss, which in the NBA you don't do
Yeah.
ever. Like that's not a thing that they don't want you because floor balance. If you're taking above the break threes, then you're in a bad position. But I thought they did relatively well until that third quarter,
Yeah.
and I believe they had the Thunder had 6 offensive rebounds in that quarter, and they punished them, and that was crippling on top of the turnovers.
And there was a few where it wasn't just a second chance, it was a third chance and then a fourth chance.
They had a fourth chance on
And when
one.
that happens, you talk about the energy from the crowd, it works both ways. There's extreme positivity, but you can feel the air kind of suck out of the building when you have the defensive possessions that OKC is having and then the offensive possessions that just seem to never end.
And that's not going to be good at all. Make sure to keep joining our conversation using #RCWrapUp. Let's see what we got going on right now on the tag board when we're able to pull that up. But I could tell you one thing from what I saw. Over the threes, this team has improved phenomenally. And,
Oh gosh, who's that?
get at it.
That's Commissioner Adam Silver. Okay, so
Yes.
we're a week into the NBA season.
Doom and gloom on the ratings.
Yeah, we're a week into the NBA season, so let's talk ratings. They're down. People are worried. The NBA's in tatters. I'll just give my quick opinion on this. I think
Oh, boy.
I just think rating conversations are really, really boring. And the NBA just had a massive rights deal for I think it was $11 billion. So
Give or take $1 billion.
I don't really think that the ratings are a good barometer of how popular the game is. I think a lot of NBA lives on Twitter and the social media. Use that hashtag. And
wrap-up.
guess what? You could have the Panthers against the Jags at 11 p.m., and you can have the Celtics versus Lakers at noon. Guess which one's going to get more eyeballs? It's going to be the NFL game. Judging those two things against each
Cowards.
other is never fair. I'm so tired of rating conversations. Yes, I think they are useful in some ways, but to say that this is a one-to-one of if the ratings are bad, the NBA isn't a good product, and if the ratings are good, the NBA is a good product, is not something I'm going to subscribe to. Is it indicative of something? Probably. But I don't think it is a reason to sound the alarm bell.
Basketball has a baseball problem, and that is baseball from 2 years ago.
Innovating.
They are failing to innovate.
What about the
And-
NBA Cup, though? Oh, my God. So
Look,
exciting.
No. That actually is a look.
Isn't it a little bit of a distraction from actually making real changes?
No,
you don't think
no,
so?
I think it is genuinely a good thing. You can go back.
The Vegas games
Okay.
were cool.
Look,
they were.
And think about the
Unquestionably.
Indiana Pacers last year.
Yes.
Think how valuable that was
Yeah.
for them, and think about how much it projected them up in the national talks, and what that meant for the profile of Tyrese Halliburton. The NBA is about stars, and if you can help make stars by putting
Sure.
them on higher levels, putting more juice behind the games,
Mm-hmm.
that matters.
Well,
We do need to do something though. Something needs to happen.
Well, they're not going to reduce games. That's
No.
never
That's
going to happen.
never going to happen.
Never
Here-
gonna
Here's the thing. Here's a little tease. I'm currently I'm writing on something. It's going to take me a long time to put it together.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to gather as many visiting players as I can over the next probably 2 months, asking them what they think about it. It's all anonymous. I'm not using any of the
About
players'
like
names.
the State of the Union.
Yes, tell me what you really think about the game that you're playing right now. Are there too many threes? Do you like the fact that you're hunting threes all the time? And I've gotten mixed feedback already. I've gotten some guys like, hey, no, look, I've changed my game because, that's just the way it's going. And there's other guys that have told me, I don't like the fact that you're taking the character out of the game. Because I think baseball did this too when they went to the, chicks dig the long ball. And it just became nothing but home runs. It was home runs and strikeouts. Tell me baseball hasn't been better the last 2 years. Of
course it has.
With more stolen bases. Now all of a sudden, you've got a guy again in Shohei Ohtani who just went 50-50 for the first time ever in the history
People
of the sport.
cared about Major League Baseball regular season for the first time in, I don't know, since 1967.
Because there's different
Where I was born.
styles, and look, there's more intrinsic stuff to the. I don't like to watch the Celtics. It's not just that they're shooting a bunch of threes. It's because they're boring basketball robots. To pull this back to Portland.
I mean, they are.
They
That's
are.
a really good
They're
way to put it.
efficient, but
Yeah,
just
I've never hated watching a good team more than them.
no. And that's the thing is
They're not fun
and
to
it's,
watch.
And it's not just it's not that people don't like watching good basketball. It's because they're not a fun watch.
Yeah.
The best way I can pull this for Portland fans is remember Brandon Roy in his prime. Those 3 years of just like
That's the good
it
stuff.
was basketball greatness, and there was a certain flavor. And there was a certain flair. There was a grace, and I think this is why people love
Grace
Shaedon
is a
Sharpe.
really good way to put it.
When you watch Shaedon Sharpe,
Yeah.
there is a lot of that to him, and that is actually intentional. For those that don't know, Shaedon, coming into his rookie year, working with his trainer, a lot of his timing work was based on Brandon Roy tape. So if you're like that, the way he kind of glides side to side and gets in and out of stuff, that's intentional. So he didn't know he was coming to Portland, but like that was somebody his trainer had him built on, and I think the reason why a player that is so great like Jason Tatum doesn't get the credit that he deserves is because his jump shot is whack. You watch him, he looks like he's being rebooted midair. It looks like you're cracking one of those plastic wristbands on your wrist.
But I think it gets most of the attention.
With Boston, it does because it's so far out there.
And I understand that, but I think two bigger problems are the grifting, which they still haven't found a way
Most of it's gone.
to legislate. A lot of it is gone, but Harden reminded me
We saw it just the other night.
it's still here. But I think a bigger piece of it is in this player empowerment era. Alex Caruso is maybe not the best example of this, but I think I follow NBA transactions pretty closely, and I kind of forgot he was on the team. And you have so many players swapping teams so often that you don't have these decades-long identity. Like, I could tell you probably like 7 guys from the 90s New York Knicks and the Miami Heat and the Charlotte Hornets. And I could probably do that up into the 2000s and 2010s.
Yeah.
But like if you look at players like Kevin Durant, LeBron James, the best players of their era, the fact that they've switched teams so many times in their prime, I think is emblematic of where the league is. You don't have people with teams for a long period of time. And that's why Dame was so celebrated in Portland for so long, because he stuck it out when a couple of times it was probably detrimental to his opportunity to win an NBA championship. Good luck in Milwaukee. What a hot mess. I just think that those are big issues. And you're right, the grifting part has gotten better. But ultimately, like in terms of a solution, are you willing to explore the idea of like eliminating the corners from the 3-point line?
I think it's
I don't think a 4-point line is the answer to this problem.
No, I think eliminating the corners is probably a step too far. But I want to ask you this, Tyree. When I ask you about the NBA, when I ask you about identities in the NBA, team identities, who has an identity outside of Boston taking and making threes? If you look around the NBA right now, let's put it this way. I'll ask you about the team that Blazers played tonight, Oklahoma City. What's their identity?
They're young and fast. If you really want to look at that, yeah.
But is that the grit and grind Grizzlies? Is that the smother you Pistons? Is that, heat culture and
The triangle offense of the Bulls.
there's
the
everybody's
Knicks punching everybody in the 90s.
yes, everybody's
Yeah.
chasing the same rabbit.
Right.
And I think
right.
that's the
Not Tom Thibodeau in New York. They're going to grind it out and score 60 points a game and finish 9th in the East, by God.
that cat's going to play 40 minutes and get up 40 points, but he'll probably die by the
There
end of
are
the
no
season.
identities. We talked about this the other day. There are no identities in the NBA.
Not anymore.
And that's sort of the way it is, which is why, to bring it back to the Blazers, someone like Toumani Camara is such a focal point of the early part of the season because he is sort of the antidote to all of that, right? He is someone who can fill up the stat sheet a little bit like he did tonight, but he's going to do all the little things. He's going to fill in the cracks of your organization. He's going to get everybody excited, and if you're not already, you're going to see his jersey on the streets very soon in Portland.
Should.
Maybe not very soon, maybe like April, but
No,
soon,
around Thanksgiving.
soon-ish.
Wow.
When all the dads are putting
That's
them on.
far. April's far.
Well, guys, have you walked outside? Is anyone wearing a basketball jersey outside right now? Maybe in the Moda Center, sure, but I'm talking about the mean streets of Portland, in
I've seen
Southeast. Come around Lens in a Toumani jersey. We'll get some coffee at Bella's. It'll be swell.
My gosh. Well, so you think it's loyalty? You're saying loyalty, essentially.
It feeds into it.
Yeah.
I think loyalty is a little bit of it, but I don't think the current way the NBA is structured, it rewards loyalty.
No.
And that's actually one of the things that's kind of being discussed is, do they reopen the CBA in a couple years and go, hey, with the way this new CBA is structured, it's problematic. It's one of those things where it's like, it's maybe a bit too prohibitive, and it doesn't reward small market teams where let's say the Thunder, they keep this thing rolling. Let's say SGA turns into an MVP and Chet is right there alongside with him. Can they keep both of them and Jalen Williams? Can they keep Alex Caruso? Can they keep Isaiah Hartenstein? Can they keep whoever they use with one of their 37 draft picks?
Windows are so finite, and you assume, the Thunder is so young and they have all these assets, they're going to keep this rolling for a decade. These windows are tiny.
Let's roll this same organization back 12 years.
Exactly. We thought
they
those
had three MVPs.
They had 3 MVPs. You watch that finals, and I think the sort of prevailing narrative was, it doesn't really matter that they lost because they're going to be back there the next 4 seasons anyway.
Gone.
Done.
Harden, is going a year, 2 years later, and on the way to Houston, and that's all she wrote. And it's like it's so fleeting. And I think one of the things you could take a look at to make things better for the league is if teams could keep their stars, their homegrown stars. Let's say if your supermax is 35% of the salary cap. Well, let's say only 28% of it counts against your cap, but the player still gets full money. Like take a 7% haircut off of how it impacts the cap, and allow teams to keep their homegrown guys for investing in them, and they still get paid.
Yeah.
Well, so what does it matter? And I think then you have maybe an incentive for players to stay because, hey, I can still get my money, and it's not going to be detrimental to the team building and force my team to decide, well, actually, and this thing, I tweeted this out earlier tonight. The Denver Nuggets fell apart against the Minnesota Timberwolves tonight, in large part because their bench is atrocious. And their bench is atrocious because their owner is cheap. It's very, very, very simple.
I saw your tweet.
Russell Westbrook needs to retire.
I saw your tweet.
Hang it up tonight.
He tweeted a picture of Russ next to Allen Iverson at the very end. I'm like, come on.
He did tweet that.
He is Memphis Grizzlies Allen Iverson. He is fried. He is cooked. He is
I love Allen
fricasseed, flambéed. However you want to have him done, he's done. And they touted that as their big move. A team that is bereft of shooting brought the worst volume shooter in the history of the NBA in the middle of a title window with the best player in the NBA.
Jokic is going to be riding horses like by January.
He's just going to go, screw this.
I'm done.
I mean, we heard him after the first game of the
Yeah,
season.
he's like,
we don't shoot.
This is a bummer.
And it's like you're watching them and you're going, you're in the middle of a title window, and you can blame the new CBA, blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Maybe not giving Michael Porter Jr. a giant max extension when his back is made of straw. Maybe don't give a max extension to Jamal Murray when he's playing with the same knees I have. Be smarter about what you do, and maybe you don't have to go down that road.
Denver's really disappointing. It's disappointing it's come to this because you also thought that they had that window.
At least 3 years.
Especially with Jokic and Murray, you had a little bit of a nucleus. I agree. Paying for that much money was ridiculous.
The anger, I see
Ridiculous.
it. Listen, overall, that all relates to the overall product, right?
Yeah.
All about to the NBA product.
Nothing
right?
angers Danny more than bad front office management. That is the worst.
Well, you know what? I'll say my quick piece on this partnership and just like the viewership overall, and then we'll have to get on to looking at this road schedule that the Blazers have, which is going to be nasty. 4-game road schedule. Listen. One of the things that the NBA needs to help overall is getting these local teams on their air in their community, which is up with one of the things that we were able to do, bring Blazers back to local television on cable. That's going to help with it.
It's a huge part of it.
It's very huge. There's a lot of people that use different streaming, stuff like that, because you have to buy this. I also buy that to add on to this so I can watch said game.
Yeah, Phoenix, that was in the NBA Finals just a couple years ago, and even they had a 150% increase in market of their distribution. And Phoenix is a massive market, and it's not like people weren't interested in the Suns. The Jazz had almost a 200% increase when they went out. Like the Pelicans have also done this, and I would expect here in Portland, as everything gets fired up here, and we turn the corner on Jan 1st, and we're everywhere. It's going to be the same thing, and I don't think it matters regardless of if you're in a rebuilding process like the Utah Jazz are, or if you're a team fresh off an NBA Finals run. Allowing fans to see and have simple access to your games, I think that's a huge component.
Very huge. I'll say Portland Trail Blazers are ahead of it, bringing it back to local TV, showing how much this community matters, getting them to see their games is awesome. And I think other NBA teams are eventually going to follow suit because they see that the product is working.
I'm with you.
Their next 4 games on the road: Phoenix Suns tomorrow at 7 p.m. Then on Monday, they're taking on at New Orleans Pelicans, 6:30. Then
or what's left of them.
They won tonight, didn't they?
They did. The Pacers are in real trouble, but I think I don't want to gloss over the Suns game. That one's going to be tough. They've looked pretty darn good. That Pelicans team, CJ McCollum is out for a couple. Ryan Dunn is, you want to talk about, he's
Folks.
the Tumani Kamara of this draft.
You're going to see Ryan Dunn a lot on the broadcast tomorrow. He's awesome. One of Tony Bennett's guys, Virginia Cavaliers. He is. That's exactly right. He's the Tumani Kamara of Phoenix. Like, I was watching a little bit of the
remember,
game.
Tumani came from Phoenix.
I was watching a little bit of the game yesterday, and Ryan Dunn made a play where kind of, hey, you're a rook, we're going to call this foul on you, and KD immediately came over and like came to him. So like, he has the respect of the upper echelon of the NBA, 6 games into his career. So he's going to be one to watch. I'm scared.
Yeah, he's 6 foot. He was the best defensive player in this draft. 6'8", 6'9". I believe he hit 12 threes in his entire college career because he was afraid to take and make them, and now he's hitting them in the NBA.
And Virginia scored like 45 points a game, so that probably contributed.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, when you don't run a lot of offense, that's not great for you, and you grind things to a screeching halt. That's probably a little frustrating for your offensive development. But that Pelicans game, you know, when you first looked at it and the season starts, you're going like, that's pretty tough. Now, C.J. McCollum out for a couple weeks. Herb Jones out for a couple of weeks. I don't think Trey Murphy is going to be back from his hamstring yet.
Yep.
I mean, DeJounte Murray's out with a broken hand. Like, they're
Still out,
Zion and B.I. are basically all
It's a winnable game.
And don't be surprised if Yves Missy ends up being the starting center by that game for the Pelicans. I think they gave Tice, the veteran, hey, show us you can get it.
Interesting.
And now I think they might have to make that move real quick.
A big conversation that we're going to have in tomorrow's show, I already know, is Nurk, and the Suns fans are going through it right now with our boy. I'm seeing people saying that Nurk needs to be put on the bench. I'm seeing people saying that Nurk's not the problem. It is
Where have I seen this discussion before?
This is like.
You know what?
We know what this is like.
We don't have to experience it though. That's
No.
fine.
No, instead we
Somebody
have
else's
DeAndre
issue.
Ayton needs to go to the bench and Donovan Clingan needs to start.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh! Either way, they're both looking good.
Oh.
So they got Phoenix, and then New Orleans, and then San Antonio Spurs, Victor Wembanyama, Chris Paul,
Very tall.
and then an Anthony Edwards team that just had an exciting win over the Denver Nuggets.
Yep.
So if I'm giving my quick analysis, I'm sure they're gonna want to kind of know what this team's gonna look. I say this team could go 2-2 in the road series.
That's a really good trip if they do that.
If they do that, that's a win.
That's
win,
a
right?
really good
Because I think
trip.
it's 1-3 on that trip, and then
Okay.
because the thing is, you play tomorrow on a back-to-back, you get a day off, and then you go to New Orleans. Thankfully, you then get 2 days off. So
Thumbs up.
that's because of the election. The NBA is not playing games
Vote.
on election day. So
Get out there and vote.
that is
election
why
coverage on K2.
there you go. Look at you, professional.
Hey, there we go.
Can we just pull back for a second, because I know we're almost out of time, but if we look at where this team is right now compared to where we thought they would be 6 games in, I think they are in a much better spot than I thought they would be. They've been competitive I'm going to say they were competitive in this game. I know it got out of
They were.
No, I think
out of
it's
hand in
fair.
the third quarter, but I think aside from the Golden State game, you could make a reasonable argument that they've been competitive the last 5 games. They've won 2 of them. Now they head out on the road. If you can get that New Orleans game and maybe steal another one, but more realistically 1-3, I think you're feeling good about the state of your team.
Well, and think about this. Everybody who's freaking out because the Blazers are winning too much, they're 2-4 now, and they have the 14th best record in the West.
That's what Tyree and I were joking about. How's everyone concerned about this team winning too much? They're 2-4. I'll tell you what.
Well, it's because they're 10% of the way to their victory, their victory total for the Vegas books. Everyone's like, we're going too fast.
How about we win 10, 11 games? And then we see what the losses are, and then we can start to worry at that point. I think things are going just fine. We're seeing development. Yeah. The vets are looking good. They've won a few games. Things are okay in Rip City. Go Thorns.
It's the best possible.
Yeah, there we go.
It's the best possible place to be, right?
Agreed.
They're losing the games,
This
but
is
they're being
plan A.
competitive.
And you know what? I don't know what the complaint is about. I like what I'm seeing. Coming from where I was in Miami, hearing the all negativeness about the team, hearing some positiveness about the
culture.
What you call it?
Isn't that what they say? Heat culture?
Heat culture?
Yeah.
Heat culture is left since Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Forget heat culture. It's Blazers, baby. 134-117. They fall, but they got another chance tomorrow against the Phoenix Suns. Episode 8 of the Rip City Wrap-Up.
My stars.
I know. Fun stuff. We'll have it for you here on K22.2. Make sure to tune in when the Blazers look to get their 3rd win of the season against the Phoenix Suns. Good night, everybody. See you
Where
tomorrow.
is it?
It's over there. Say bye.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's way down there.
My girlfriend's watching. Bye, Bria.
Bye, Bria.